Well, today's one of them days where just, an epiphany I had every so often happens again. And so today on 9 July 2024, um, I had, so I don't know if I've said this in the past, but so I have a relation to Sir Isaac Newton, and, you know, he's been one of my guardian angels um, throughout my spiritual awakening. Um, but I've always had some kind of interesting tie, uh, to his energy. And, some people do, but a lot of things in my life I've realized that it's like I was the female version of him. Um, and the weird thing being, my twin flame being a female, um, that is really good at math and like, but being the masculine part in our dynamic, and me being the divine feminine. So it's just interesting how he was into math, and I use more sciencey stuff. Like, I don't do formulas and all that, but because I do more like energy and frequencies and more the feeling to things. But I'm sure at some point he did as well. But um, it was always funny because even when I was more feminine looking, I would still get called sir for some reason. And it was like those individuals probably were spirit guides along my way, reminding me of something that I didn't know at that time. Um, but, I find a lot of synchronicity in, my spiritual awakening, um, and how Sir Isaac Newton would, takes ideas of earlier scientists, puts them together in a unifying picture of a scope. I've talked about scope and scope creep and all those other things, and how that all intertwines in the universe, and he used mathematics, and like I said, I use science, with souls, energy, and frequencies, among, many other things I use as a creative physicist. And there's a lot of irony in how I've always been good at self-reflecting, and he invented the reflecting telescope. And then, him dying at age 84, having a lot of pattern synchronization throughout my life, um, and having a profound reason to someone born in the year of the rat, and then 8 plus 4 equals 12, and 365 days out of the year, and all these other things. And I've always had these intellectual intimate moments with coins. So coin 1666, more specifically, in the 1812 quarter, the Buffalo Nickel. And he was the former master of the mint. And so that gave some significance as to when I was a child. I was on my way to go see the U.S. Mint, and I threw up. And now I can relate that to I probably was having ascension sickness, because something was shifting, and maybe I was shifting into his energy or something, and that's why I got sick, because I never got sick like that before. And then I realized today that I started my business page on March 31st, 2024, and then he died March 31st, 1727. So it was 297 years ago, 3 months and 8 days. And so that's 108,578, which 108 is like the Dharma, which is turning your pain into purpose. It was in the week 14 in the first quarters. 3,567 months ago. 155 or 15,511 weeks ago. 2605,863 hours, 157,351,790 minutes, 9381,107,442 seconds, and it wasn't in a leap year. And then there are 266 days until 31st of March of 2025, which is a spiritual year. So him being born on January 4th, and he is one of our, which is Capricorn, so he's one of our history's goats, greatest of all times. And the 10th sign of the zodiac between December 22, which is a master number, and January 19th, and I was 19 when I joined the military. So that gives more significance to why I am, a dependable partner, that prioritizes love above all else, and my discipline, my ambition, and being responsible, especially when it comes to spirituality matters, because I do not, that's not some game to me. Finding this out in Cancer season, which is the opposite sign of Capricorn, it makes sense. That's why my false flame was an earth sign compatible with Capricorn. And then my past life being a Virgo, there's some significance in a younger relative of mine that is a Capricorn. It shows some of Sir Isaac Newton's more fun, joking around, I don't want to say mischievous, but that trickster kind of energy. Just reading a chapter of how, Sir Isaac Newton was a blessed boy, and his personality type, aligning with my own as an INFJA. I can see, we see the bigger pictures, and how that like cosmic, celestial, big energy, like we have that, energy, and it's like everyone seems to want us as, any type of partner, whether it's business, romantic, platonic, just any of those, but they oftentimes don't bring as much as we do to the table. But because we are INFJs, like, we're really good at we realize that we're something to the world and not of it. So there have been times, people probably would think that we were lazy or something, and it's like we're not. We see the world a lot different. We see it through, I guess, the big telescope. We don't, and we tell you using telepathy in the scope of things, and all these other things I can say about that, but but we're really good at helping others see, their purpose, and how to nurture and protect, that. And so we're like natural healers. They probably didn't say that about Sir Isaac Newton, but in some ways, a lot of ways, I feel like he did that because of what all his inventions and his discoveries were. And so it's just really interesting that there's just the 7/7 portal, which has some significance to my own twin flame, and just the number 7 is a spiritual, very, very spiritual number, and especially in sacred geometry, and 5 as well, and 57, and then that equals 12 as well. So there's like all these things that kind of just unfolded, but it's like I had the opportunity to kind of do it before, but then I didn't. And like always, when I'm like, oh, I just won't, if it needs to come by again, it does. And when it does, it always comes out, a lot better than it would have at that moment, because there's just more to it. And that's like the beauty of some of the journey. But it was just interesting because I went to the library the other day, and it had some significance and synchronicities and numbers, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then I was sitting here yesterday thinking about how if you take libraries and you separate those two, and you use the middle A for both of them, you got Libra and Aries. And so I was like the justice of the ram, which is like part of the goat family. And so I was just like laughing at that last night. And I don't know. But yeah, it makes sense to why I've, really taken a deep dive into my purpose and quantum mechanics and quantum entanglement, and how I'm able to be really good at that. And there are people that were like, she doesn't know who she is, but it was really more of a matter of like I didn't know really who I was all related to at the time. And had I had that information first, it probably would have been a lot easier. But it was my journey, and it unfolded the way it did. But I found it so interesting how my twin flame literally is like the female or the masculine version, of Isaac Newton, but in a female body. And then I'm the feminine energy, so it's like we're like a hybrid baby of Sir Isaac Newton in ways. And it's like so amazing, and like it gives so much depth to and a lot of significance to how we as living in these flesh vessels and as souls, how these things all tie in together. And these are things I've been trying to prove for a long time, is how our ancestors really are with us, and there's some people just kind of do this, but there's so much more depth to it. And then how to heal our generational, curses through that. And so I just find it very interesting. I just wanted to share that, though. But yeah, I'll probably have another one out later about, oh yeah, and they always thought he wasn't going to be good at business, and I don't think he ever was. But with my spiritual awakening, I've managed to take his work, my work, and then apply it to the business industry. So it's like I'm something he wasn't able to do in his lifetime. Myself and my twin flame have been able to create that world, and that's really awesome, to be that legacy builder, and then to go and look at all this stuff and investigate and really talk about it and unravel it, and how I get really tired of hearing about all the same people that have like built, like, nothing's wrong with it, but like Bill Gates and like all these other individuals that they keep getting mentioned as our leaders, and how they did this and how they did that. Like, those are all great stories. I honor those stories, I respect their stories, but at the same time, it's like people like myself who were just doing regular things. I have unraveled and discovered so much more about my family than anyone else in my family. And my family is also, at least on my mother's side, they're very, well, no, on both of my parents' side, they're very big into the family history, but they were focused on some of the more Native American stuff, and I kind of am too, but mine was more on the sciencey part, which is Isaac Newton. And I found myself, reading things about Immanuel Kant and or Kant, and and ethics, and things of that nature. So I didn't know that was one of Sir Isaac Newton's colleagues of sorts, and there's some others in there like Albert Einstein and all that, but there was like a more gentlemanly, like back in those days, like they gave credit to each other. And I feel like society's gotten away from that, and that's what I've been trying to bring back as far as when it comes to, especially to business and just really anything in life. Like we need to start giving people credit where it's due, um, and really knowing to read those energies out, because like I've said before, there are many times people have absorbed my energy and moved forward while I'm just sitting there and I did all the work, but it's like someone else got the benefit off that because somebody didn't know how to read the energy, or I was on a higher dimension. And and I'm grateful that I was able to do that for others and be that leader in the spirit that way. But it was like going through that before knowing what I know now, it was very hard to accept those things, because it was like, I value my time and I value my life, and I've always had a life value and purpose. Like, I'm like, to me, suicide's very selfish, and things of that nature. So it was like going through all that, it would upset me, and I'm like, it's very important that, people really learn to read more energies and give credit where it's due. And like, everyone can have credit in the situation, but it's like, for me, it seemed to be always on to one individual and sometimes two, and I'm like, what was I, chopped liver? Like, that's how it would feel a lot of the times. And I didn't get all super pressed about it. I was just like, well, I mean, I guess there was just something about them that was better than mine, and it would, I was like, I'll just do something else. So I've always been good at just keeping to myself and doing my own thing, like Sir Isaac Newton. And it's very interesting. But the only difference is because the timelines, they would give each other more credit, and would speak about each other in ways, and have big speeches, and just really honor their pupils back in those days. And just anyone they would work with, it was just because there's so much discovery going on. And I feel like because of all the technology we have now, it's really hampered, a lot of things having to do with I feel like not as many people get as much credit, which is weird, because you feel it's like more people should. And even though it gets, you can give yourself credit and put on the electromagnetic field and all these things like that. But I remember when I was in the military, there was a thing that, against writing your own award, and it was like, but you're the one that experienced that, and like an outsider looking in, wouldn't quite know everything that you were thinking of, and all that. And so I had an issue with that, but like I saw like how some of it was like, it was honorable to have someone try to give you credit, but it's like they don't fully know, because they don't live your life on the daily. They don't know all the things that you were going through internally. It's just like what they're seeing externally, and who knows if maybe they just ate some weird lunch and had to go to the restroom, and then they just completely forgot their train of thought of like what they were going to write down, and it could have been really great. So there were parts about that where I had issues, but I still would honor the code. And but that code now it doesn't seem like it was very honorable. So that is like things like that, that I try to speak truth to as well, is because it falls into leadership, and how we need to start treating our people better, because humans are our greatest resource, because we all have our souls. And once we start giving more credit, I've noticed too, when we do this, especially when I do it, the demons start sloughing off, and it really gets pinpointed down to the one really doing and having negative thoughts. Like I can do this. I don't know if anyone else can, but I really pinpointed, energies and thought energies, because I spoke truth to one individual and then another, and then I was giving them credit how I really seen it and felt it in the spirit. And then the original one, like one of the original ones, that I was thinking, I didn't quite say it to them, seemed to that was the one doing the things behind the scenes, so that weren't so nice. But I still forgave that person and moved on. But but it created this whole entanglement, and then you know, I ejected out of the situation, but it was still like, once you start giving people credit where it's due, it's okay to be wrong about some of that, and then going back. That's why we have paper trails, is going back and then giving that person all the credit they are due for the work they did, because then you start to see who is really doing the work. You know, some of us aren't always there to always defend ourselves, and you know, I saw it a lot in the service, and even in civilian, you know, too. It would really frustrate me, because like, I seen who was really doing the work, and then the other person come around and try to act like they were the ones doing it. That was something I saw one of my siblings do. Is our parents would come home, and then one of them would go grab something to, you know, to look like they were cleaning the whole time while the rest of us are sitting there, and it's like, we all just got done cleaning, but they're making it look like they're still the ones doing the work, and it's like, and they were the one actually kind of sitting on the sideline, so the energy was flipped, and so the one that wasn't doing much all of a sudden started getting up and starting to act like they were doing stuff, after the ones that are now sitting were the ones that actually already did that work. And so, you know, it's like it you know, the integrity of a situation, and having those people trained in integrity and knowing like that was wrong, and speaking